Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Blue Road YouTube channel with episode 5 of The Rest. I'm joined once again by Terry. How have you recovered from Sunday afternoon?
I have recovered, mate. 5 of the best for the rest. What do you mean?
There you go.
5 episodes in. Let's go.
It's
Yeah, I'm recovered. I was pretty recovered straight away. I knew that it would be one of the. It was actually just like the Hawthorn game. It was like, yep, stressful, but you always take a win. That's the main thing. And we're 4-1, and we're in the finals hunt.
there you go. I think I heard Cal Toomey on AFL Exchange saying that we could win the flag. So I'm not calling it early, but you never know.
Yeah, well, it's not like the mainstream media to jump on Carlton when it suits them. So
yeah, and then
Cal's good.
Yeah. We'll lose next week, and then we'll get rinsed. So it's all good.
Nah,
That's how it works.
we're beating Freo. Absolutely beating Freo.
Mate, can't wait. It's gonna be stressful, but
It
hopefully
is.
just. I mean, I did send you a text. I was like, my heart can't take another close one, and then we go and do that against Port. So hopefully we can have a much streamlined game on the weekend.
Like I said, you can and you will take more of them.
I can't. I shoot. Oh, mate. Like, at this stage, it's not even like celebrating it. It's just when the siren goes, I'm just relieved.
It's relief.
It's like,
yeah.
Hopefully we can.
They're stumbling over the line and they're kind of just learning how to win, I guess. But it's good. I mean, this is where we want to be, in the thick of it, learning.
100%. Would rather learn in a win than in a loss.
Yeah, of course.
All right, let's get into it now, and let's get into the major talking points which came from the weekend's game or games. And probably the first one, especially because it happened early on in the week, was the Good Friday game, North Melbourne, Western Bulldogs. And I think, the major talking point coming out of that game was, do North Melbourne deserve that marquee game? And, I mean, it's another belting. I know last year was pretty bad. This year was bad as well. We've been in that position where we didn't beat Richmond in round one for 10 years, I think it was. And we know what it feels. We know what it feels like for all the North fans out there. But what's your take on it? Do you think that they deserve to maintain that Good Friday game?
Yeah, got no issue with it. I think it's just a sign of the times. Right now they're struggling. Right now they're down the bottom. The tide will turn. I like North. I like what they've got. I like the pieces that they've got. I think it just needs time to get better. It doesn't look good right now. I was actually at the game, and the first quarter was just, it was not good. It was not good. And I found myself just watching and observing and looking at that fresh new big screen, and just sort of thinking with the brilliantly lit stadium that was Marvel Stadium, and I found myself thinking, like, yeah, we're Carlton supporters, and it's been tough, and 26 years no premiership, and just all sorts of dysfunction. But I'm so grateful I'm not a North Melbourne supporter or a Western Bulldog supporter, to be fair.
I mean, in my lifetime, I would rather have been a Doggy supporter, and even a North supporter. I mean, they've made a couple of prelims. That's more than we can say in my lifetime, anyway.
I think by the time your life is said and done, you will not want to be saying that. I just think
Hopefully.
Both clubs, let them have it. It's Good Friday. Let them have it. They're nothing clubs. They're just nothing clubs. Just no. In all seriousness, they are good clubs. They're good people at both of them. But no, I'm not. I don't really think we need to change it. I just think certain situations people want to be traditionalists, then all of a sudden they don't want to be. I don't know. It is a talking point. As long as there are people going to the game, and obviously it's for a good cause as well. And I think these marquee games, these Anzac Days and whatnot, what makes them so special is the length of time that they play each other in that round. So that's why I think we've just got to ride the bad ones, and in 10, 20 years, it's going to be a really special fixture because they had been doing it for so long. And I think that's how you build the tradition. So I'm not really too fussed with who they're playing on that night, but I don't think it needs to change. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm similar. I like, personally, I'm a traditionalist with games like these. I mean, you from a Carlton perspective as well, we were rubbish for the best part of a decade, especially against Richmond. And there were some games where they'd kick 6 in a row at the start of the game and it'd be all but over. And we still got it. And then this year we've seen that it was a good game. Like finally it was competitive. And I know other games have been competitive, but this one for all 4 quarters was really good. So hopefully that it can turn. I think it's come at a bad time. And it always comes at this time where a team's rebuilding and they have a marquee game. It's should we take them off them? Like that talking point is always going to happen. But it's not as if North are middling out. They're in like nowhere. They have a clear plan. So
Yeah.
if you look at this fixture in 4, 5, 6 years time, when they're towards the end of their rebuild, and it's still getting to these like 10-goal wins for the Dogs, or even for North, if it flips the other way, you got to look at the state in which both teams are at. And you obviously have the Dogs who made the grand final last year, and North who are rebuilding. Obviously it's going to be a tough game for North. I feel like it's unfair to just rip it off them when they're in a one bad period of their club, because a couple of seasons ago, or like maybe in the mid 2010s, North were playing in prelim finals and the Doggies were down the bottom. So it's roles reversed, and yeah, I think it is very unfair if they do take it off them.
Yeah, I think so. Kind of got me thinking about the rolling fixture that we have for the regular season, and how obviously we're going to play the first 9 and then they're going to announce the time slots for the other. Do you like that? Because I think it's genius.
I like it in theory, but I feel like they should release it sooner. Release the next batch sooner. Because I know we only got round 9 and 10 like last week or something.
Yeah, I mean, I just think in the event of them doing, because they do the fixture the year before, in the event that they get it wrong, there's a team that they thought would be good and they've got a lot of prime times, they get a chance to fix it. And then I think it's actually going to help with the ratings and the exposure and getting the right games in at the right time of the year. I like that they actually announced who would be playing who, and they didn't announce necessarily what time and what time slot. I don't know. I think that I would like to see that moving forward again. I don't mind, waiting until round 6 or 7 to find out what the second half of the season will look like from a time slot point of view. Obviously, we all want to know who we're playing in every round before the season starts. And I think we've got that. I don't know. It just got me thinking.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it came because of 2020 and that season all over the place, right? But yeah, I do like it because I remember 2019. It's going to be like really obscure, but like 2019, it was the weekend of Carlton St Kilda, the second game.
Yes.
We won. And that Friday night, I think it was Sydney versus Melbourne at the G. And there was like 20,000 people there because obviously Sydney weren't that good and Melbourne were rubbish that season. So you avoid games played on a Friday night in front of no one, 2 shit teams. If you have that rolling fixture, you can adjust it. So, I mean, even if you look now, teams like St Kilda, Freo, Carlton are doing well. And then you have like Port, the Doggies are going okay. But like you have these teams who were good last year, not performing this year. Teams that weren't performing last year performing well this year. So I think that's another reason why that style of fixturing suits the league.
Yep, I agree. I like it.
And moving on to what I just said with those teams underperforming, do you think the tide is turning in the competition? Because you have the teams like Port, West Coast, GWS, Richmond, and the Bulldogs to an extent as well, who have been perennial contenders, especially in the last maybe half a decade. They're slowly starting to peter off, and then you have us, Freo, St Kilda, who are slowly coming up and coming to the end of their rebuild. Is this the turning of the tide for the competition?
Yeah, I think it is. I think we are seeing it. I still think all those teams who are struggling now will finish strong because they're generally seasoned, and the seasoned bodies generally hold on to the season longer because they've just been through so many pre-seasons and they're experienced. So I think they'll be okay. I don't know how far they'll bottom out, but I definitely can see a a changing of the guard. And then finally, I mean, how long have all those teams been at the top? Like finally, all those teams have been top 4 locks almost for the better part of a decade, for the majority of the better part of a decade. And Melbourne has obviously come up and they're gone and they're the champions right now. But for a long time, they were an up and coming side. So I hope it's the new wave. I really do. I hope it's Carlton and Fremantle and St Kilda as well. I hope that's what we're about to see. I think that's the evolution that the competition needs.
Yeah, because there has been those 5 or 6 clubs dominating the 8. And on one hand, I like that because I love the elite, right? I like the big teams with the best players playing really well. But also it does get boring and you want to see, I think just as a competition, you want to see rebuilds be successful. Like you look at Freo's rebuild and like Andy Brayshaw's like one of the best midfielders in the comp now, right? So those young kids coming through and taking a side that has struggled and building them up and making the 8 and making top 4 eventually. I think it's good. It's a good progression for the competition.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. And hopefully Carlton can lead that new wave.
Man, don't live in hope. It's happening.
So what are we thinking? Like 22 and 2, or
no? We're just gonna scrape in. We're just gonna get there. I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty sure we're just gonna get there. Whether we win or lose a final, I don't know. But it's very early. We've got a lot more respect to earn and all of that. But it's looking good so far.
Yeah, I've booked grand final tickets already. So, speaking of a team that could make the grand final and probably will make the grand final, Melbourne, they looked ridiculously good on Saturday night against the Giants.
Yeah, they did, and I feel like they're still cruising.
Yeah, they're not out of second. They're not even out of first gear. They are scarily good.
Do you remember when Richmond won the first flag and then the second in 2018? They were just unbelievably good for the first 15 or so games of the year. And like, obviously they end up losing that final to Collingwood that year. And they've gone on record, at various stages to say that they peaked a little too early. I feel like Melbourne understand what it now takes. And it's really weird. So early in their success, they're cruising and they're just controlling games. It's so impressive. Like I look to Melbourne, and as a Carlton fan, I look at what we are hopefully becoming. We're probably a couple of seasons off becoming what they're doing right now, just really controlling tempo. And when they go. They don't tire themselves out. They manage the game so well. I mean, how can you say anything other than praise for them, right?
Yeah, I mean, something that Carlton supporters have really, especially in the last couple of weeks, when like the Hawthorn game and the Port Adelaide game, is we're still learning to win.
Yeah.
Melbourne look like they've learned how to win for the past decade. Like they just, like there's no, like with Carlton, we have that good couple of quarters and then we fade out. There's no fade out with Melbourne. They just are so good. And considering where they were, obviously 2018 was the prelim season, and then 2019 was that major drop off. But to see them, I mean, 2020 was pretty good for them, and then 2021, no one thought they'd have the season they would have. I think people thought the 8 potentially, but no one thought they'd be as dominant as they were. And then they literally look unstoppable. I think it might have been David King that said they're a 4-goal better team than everyone else in the comp.
Yeah, and the challenge is now for them to do it with that external expectation being totally different to what it was last year. They almost rode it to their advantage last year. No one gave them a chance at winning the thing until very, very late in the piece. And they rode that, wave of obscurity and lack of faith from the external. Whereas now it's going to be different because they're going to get to round 15 and everyone's already booking in there. They're, the 2-time back-to-back premiership winners. So, it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with it. Because again, when we win our flag, how are we going to deal with that next season,
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to look too far ahead, but yes. I mean, it's only going to be next year. But
yes,
yeah, I think the main reason I wanted to speak about Melbourne is, do you think there's another dynasty on the cards for the AFL?
Yeah, for sure. I said it when they won the flag. It just makes sense. So many years of misery, so many years of not being able to do it, and then so many failures. And like the dirty little secret about success is failure. You have to fail. You have to feel the pain of failure over and over again until you learn how to not feel it anymore. And then when you're not feeling failure, you're feeling success. But the only way you know what success is because it feels different to what it used to feel when you were failing. So I think they've had so many years of failure that they're not taking this for granted. I think they've been humbled for many years. So I think they'll win another one, maybe two. It really just depends. They just need to win a couple before these other new wave of teams come up, whether it's us or Fremantle or the Saints, whoever it is, or the Dogs. I think it's easy right now when they're 5-0 to call them another dynasty, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because obviously the Cats dynasty in like the 2010s or early 2010s and late 2000s was more spread out. It was 3 and
Yeah.
5. Then you had Richmond, or then you had Hawthorn, sorry, which was back to back to back, which I thought, I mean, they traumatized my younger years. Like, I think now when I hear about older people talk about how they hated Carlton throughout the 80s and early 70s or late 70s because we won everything. Now I understand that, because when I first start remembering footy, it's Hawthorn winning 3 flags in a row. And then you have Richmond, which wasn't any easier because I have a lot of Richmond mates who don't shut up, right? So hopefully with this Melbourne success, they can be a little bit more humble. Do you think that's on the cards?
Yeah, I think they are humble. But also, you know what? Let them enjoy it.
No.
Let them enjoy it, because I just know what we're going to be like. I just know it. We win
Maybe
3 in a
you.
row and we act the way we act,
I'm not taking any liability for that. Maybe it's you who act like that, because I can only imagine when we make finals. Can
Mate,
only imagine.
the whole competition gets turned on its head. That's what happens. Yeah,
I'm-
but I honestly, like, I'm really happy. Like when Caden McDonald, when I chat to him, when I do interviews with him, just to see the way he's still humble. Like, he's still really humble.
yeah.
And any Melbourne supporter, what they've been through and the premiership drought that they had experienced, like, yes, I'm jealous and envious and all of that, but I'm also, I love footy, and I love it when I think footy is for the fans. Personally, I think the game is for the fans, and when you see them enjoying their team success, depending on who it is, I cannot bear to think about Essendon winning a flag in my lifetime, or I just can't deal with that being a reality. I just don't want to see it, but I'm sure they'd say the same thing about us.
Yeah, we're riding that 4,000 day final.
Oh my God.
Finals drought.
Yeah.
I think it was 04, wasn't it? The last time they won a
04 was the last time they won a final.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm saying I was born in 04, so I won't take any credit for it. But
wow, I like it.
there you go.
I like
there
it.
you go. I'm the ghost haunting Essendon. So there's my reason for living.
Contribution.
And then it coincided with Carlton slowly playing well. So, but
Look
mate,
at you, mate. The Oracle.
the Oracle. So what are we thinking? What, Essendon 10,000 days without a finals win? Carlton 6 flag in 10 years?
I don't know. I don't know how long it'll last. All I know is that I'm enjoying it right now while we've got it, because it's going to end. It's going to end at some point.
I thought it was last year.
So did I. I. You know what? You're right. So did I. Yeah.
For me, that was the perfect storm, because the Dogs looked shaky. The Dons were up and about, but Cody Waitman put paid to that, didn't he? And
Absolutely.
Speaking of Cody Waitman, maybe indirectly, but also directly, he's been involved in some extent to the umpiring, not debacle, but the umpiring conversation this year. And obviously, there seems to be a new rule every week, which is under the microscope. Last week it was the push in the back rule. this week it's the dissent abuse rule, which has been blown up this week, hasn't it?
Yeah, so they put it on the agenda at the start of the year, as they do with a lot of things. And then what generally happens, I reckon, is that X rule gets put on the agenda. We see it in rounds 1, 2, and maybe 3. Then it kind of dwindles off and the players go back to whatever they were doing. And I think that's where we're at. And I think they're bringing it back to the conversation. And there are going to be a lot of stiff 50-meter penalties paid this weekend. And it is what it is. Do I like it? I think we have to find a middle ground. And I think we have to find a model that works. Like, I love the rugby league where they're bringing the captain as the only person that they can, I think you need to have a dialogue between player and umpire. I think it can be healthy and spirited and done in a good way. Now, whether that's Patrick, I'm speaking to you today. Patrick, tell him, does it again. That's it. It's 50. Something like that. I'd like to see us do that. I think they're tinkering with it, but I don't know. I don't see any reason why you can't put your hands up like that. Like, I get it. We don't want them to swear at them, call them an idiot, be demonstrative or use language against an umpire that is disrespectful. Totally, I agree with that. But when you move into gestures and when you move into body language and when you move into such things in the heat of a moment in a sport that is like gladiatorial, I think you're just asking for trouble. You're asking for a real distortion of the rule and the game.
Yeah. I mean, Sean Darcy above your head right now is currently giving away a 50-meter penalty. So, but you look at, I think it was George Hewitt at the end of the car, or not, maybe a couple minutes ago against Port. He put his arms up. He looked very frustrated at a decision, and it wasn't 50. There's obviously, I think it was, I can't remember who it was in the Hawthorn game. I think it might have been Tom Mitchell in the middle of the ground, made a gesture, and that was 50 for Hawthorn late in the game as well, or against Hawthorn late in the game. So it's, I think the issue with this dissent or abuse rule is that it will never be consistent because it's arbitrary. What one umpire thinks is abuse, another umpire won't, unless they have specific words, which if you say the F word to an umpire, it's 50 no matter what. But yeah, I mean, it's going to cause issue throughout, I think. I don't think it's going to stop.
I mean, I really do get what they're trying to do. And they're trying to stop it at a junior level by having the example be the AFL. My thing is the AFL really the behaviours of the players towards umpires in the AFL, is that really the reason why it's happening at local level? Is that really the reason? I don't think it is. Because I think at the lower level, it's done on such a grand scale. Like, as in you go watch local footy, it's almost part of the culture. That's how ingrained it is. Like, you go to the local footy to abuse an umpire, which needs to change for sure. And if we don't do something, we're literally not going to have quality umpiring. But I think the AFL need to invest in umpiring at a junior level more than what they do now.
Yeah.
Whether that be have umpires paid more, have these sanctions for abuse at the local level. I don't know what the answer is. It's very easy to point at what the problem is, but it's always very difficult to find the real solution. But I'm just not sure because it's so different the way players and whatnot talk to umpires at the AFL level to the local level. Like, it's similar, but it's different. It's on a different scale. So I am confused, and I'm sure the AFL are confused, and that's obviously why they're trying something. They've obviously identified an issue that needs rectifying, and it's not a solution that's going to take 5 weeks. It's going to take, you've got to change culture almost.
Yeah. And I mean, it's this adjusting period where every rule, when it's introduced or when it's altered, gets taken to the extreme naturally, because you're trying to find that middle ground. And we're now punishing players for just showing frustration. Like, like George Hewitt late in the game gives away a free kick when his team's 3 points up with 2 minutes to go after choking a 50-point lead. Like, obviously he's going to be frustrated with the decision, and obviously he's going to be angry with the circumstance. But that doesn't. I know that wasn't a 50-meter penalty against, but
That
I think
probably shouldn't have been.
the AFL have come out and said that should have been, right.
And
So, like, it doesn't. You can't penalize people for that.
I know, but you can. You actually can. You can. I think they're wanting to change the behavior of the players. Look, they're going to try. We're going to see what happens. My fear is, can you imagine in a prelim, 4 minutes to go, umpire makes an error, a clear error, players react because it's a prelim, their whole livelihood and what they play for is at stake. And I'd hate to see a 50-meter penalty paid late in a final. Oh my God, disaster.
Yeah, it's precedent. I know it's frustrating now, but what it does is it sets precedent, right? And unless the AFL come out and explicitly say this was wrong, come out very publicly and say this 50-meter penalty is wrong, or we are not going to be penalising this action or whatever anymore. It sets a precedent which fans will get confused by, because that could happen in a prelim and there could be 50 meters against, but they'll look back at an incident that happens in round 4 and think, oh, why wasn't that 50? It creates the inconsistency, and then that creates further anger towards the umpire. Because personally, for me, do you find most anger directed at the umpire is directed at the decision or at the rule?
At the interpretation.
Do you?
Like, I think they've fucking butchered holding the ball. What's happened?
Yeah.
What has happened to holding the ball? They've butchered it. They almost wanted more of it called, but less of it's now being called because they're not. They've just. I don't know. I find umpiring frustrating as a fan. I do.
Yeah.
I do find umpiring frustrating.
I think, well, you say the interpretation of the rule. I find that it's the rule itself, which isn't the umpire's fault, because for example, the ducking your head, right, which is Cody Waitman and many other players' specialty, right? Don't blame the umpire for giving that. Don't blame the umpire for having to give a decision when someone ducks and he gets clotheslined. Blame it. Direct your anger, if you want to have any anger about it. Direct it at the people making the rule for making that be a free kick. They should have a rule in place which is like, if there is a clear duck of the head, and if a player goes to ground unnaturally, then no matter what, unless he gets like punched in the head, right? No matter what, you can't be given a free kick against.
Yeah, I mean, in that particular instance, in that particular rule, I love when the umpires don't get sucked in. I get frustrated when they get sucked in by the, like if someone wins the football and then leads in the contest with their arm up, like wanting to wrap up that tackle there, like they're actually looking for it. I like it when the umpire doesn't get sucked into that. But yeah, I mean, we can sit here and talk about the rules and whatnot for hours on end. I just think there needs to be more action, and there is more action being taken on the umpiring. I think it requires more time and investment. I would start there.
Yeah.
Let them be better umpires.
Yeah. Well, that's the argument for everything wrong with anything, right? I feel like there's. I agree with you in saying that investment is key, but I feel like there's more, because you look at when we had the discussion, I think it was last week or the week before, about ARC and about the things wrong with that, and then the resolution to that is put more investment in it or stuff like that, right? Get better cameras and etc. I feel like there's something else hidden beneath the surface about this, whether it's from a fan's perspective, whether fans are not knowledgeable about the rule. Because I know some people who still have completely different interpretations of holding the ball, or what's it, chopping the arms or pushing the back or whatever. So maybe it's that, maybe it's something else. It's one of those things where, in my opinion, it's going to live on for as long as the game lives on, because no one's going to get it perfect.
Correct. It'll never be perfect.
Yeah.
That's the little the beauty and the curse of the human being is that, and especially the footy fan, is it's never satisfied.
Yeah.
There's always something to complain about. There's always something that needs to be fixed. And as soon as we fix the thing, then we focus on the next thing.
Yeah. And
You know?
I feel like I think you hit the nail on the head there. And speaking of another thing that was contentious relating umpiring, some staging as well occurred on the weekend.
Oh my God. It's getting bad. It's actually getting worse. Harry did it against
Harry does it every week.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's gross.
Yeah, I think if he got, personally, I think he gets murdered by the umpires.
I do as well. But
if he starts getting more free kicks paid on him, I feel like he won't exaggerate it. But then again, maybe that's just the Carlton lens talking, right?
Also, John Ralph, where you at, mate?
Yeah.
Where you at, mate? Loves retweeting about a Carlton player staging, but when the captain of his football club does it twice in 15 seconds, didn't get a mention. Johnny Ralph, mate, stay consistent, brother. What's going on?
You want the media to be consistent? Is that what you're
Well,
asking?
I know. I shouldn't even be talking about the mainstream media because they're actually embarrassing to the game at times. Yeah. But
at times, all the time.
Yeah. I think at times they can be okay. But at times anyway, that's probably another conversation for another day. But the staging, it's just a run of 2 or 3 weeks where it's just there's a lot of it, but it's got to stop. It's got to stop. The beauty of this game is that it's a tough game, and we don't have that in the game for the most part. So,
how do you make it stop? What would be your suggestion?
You got to penalise it heavy fine. You have to penalise it.
What's a heavy fine though? Because if you give a 15 grand fine to some of these players, like if Cripper gets a 15K fine for staging, I doubt it's going to hinder I doubt he's going to care that much. Like
whatever it needs to be. If you need to scale the fine, whatever it needs to be, you got to start by calling it out.
Yeah, would you be against giving a free kick for diving? Like for doing something?
No, I think we should. I think there should be a free kick against for clear staging. Do they? They don't do it, do they? No. Yeah, there absolutely should be a free kick against. There's your starting point right there, because you need to feel a penalty for you to really stop the behaviour at times, especially with that.
Yeah, I agree. And again, it goes back to the umpires again, because when a player stages, I feel like I spoke about Cody Waitman before. I feel like he's another person who maybe flings his head back when he gets caught around the neck or whatever, right? Don't blame the players for doing it, in terms of if they're going to get a free kick, of course they're going to do it. Do you know what I mean by when I say that? It's like if you get rewarded for something, you're going to keep doing that action.
Correct.
So you need to stop rewarding it. So don't. Yeah. So next time Cody Waitman dives, don't blame Cody Waitman. Blame the umpires for giving it.
Correct. Umpires need to be smarter and see through it. They have to be able to see through it. They must.
Yeah. And especially for serial offenders.
Yeah.
Like I mean, Harry is one who does it quite a bit. Tom Hawkins does it in terms of his one on the weekend yesterday was blatant as ever.
No good.
Yeah. Especially when you're a big K forward.
You can probably bench 130, 140, 150 kilos. No, not having it.
Yeah. And there's the argument of saying, when you're in the air, like the slightest touch can push you off balance and whatever, but that was clear as day. As day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's enough on talking about the umpires, because like we said last week, we'll go insane. And we'll come back next week and talk about another umpiring adjudication that stuffed up, probably. But or wasn't it Anzac Day a couple of years ago when like the holding the ball decision just went out the window when like players stopped?
I think so.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe we'll be back. We'll be back speaking about that. But another incident that happened over the weekend, an unfortunate incident which you touched on yesterday in the Blue Broad show, was Tom Rockcliffe and that whole debacle. Now, for those who don't know, Tom Rockcliffe went to the game on Sunday afternoon at the MCG and was spat on as he was leaving the game by a Carlton supporter. Like there's the obvious. Like we don't need to say a lot because it's obviously just completely wrong.
You can't script this shit. You can't. Yeah. And unfortunately, like I've been thinking about it the whole time. I've met Tom Rockcliffe a couple of times in Shanghai. He's an incredibly good human being, right? And therefore I have a little bit more context to him, and therefore it just makes me even more sick. But I'm pretty big on accountability in a lot of things and looking in the mirror. And I can understand that we have people who come from different backgrounds and different whatever, and we have different levels of socioeconomic ways of being. I understand that, and different levels of education and whatnot. And I love the diversity. And that's what makes this game great, and that's what makes this community great. But are we not at a point where it is unanimous across all of us that spitting doesn't happen anymore? Are we still needing to make that clear? Is that really where we're at? We have to make it clear that we don't spit on people anymore as a human species. Is that something that really still needs education? That's the thing that fucks me up, because what are we doing? Spitting on people at the football. I and no wonder why fans get put in this box called nuffies. No wonder.
Yeah, it's almost animalistic, that action. It's low, really low,
mate. I can't believe we're talking about a Carlton supporter spitting on something. I can't believe it. I can't believe we're still talking about racism the way we're talking about it as well. But it's just degenerate. It's degenerate behavior. That's what it is. And I hope that whoever it is, they need to have their membership cancelled if they're a member. I don't know what the situation is. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it's something you do when you're 2 years old. Like if that, and you get told off for doing that when you're a child. You get told off for spitting when you're a child.
Yeah,
and yet, like adults. I'm assuming it was an adult anyway.
Yeah,
are doing the one of the most disgusting things you could do to another person.
What happens if Tom Rockcliffe reacts? Because I know if I'm with my child, I haven't got a child, but if I had a child, I'm going in preservation mode and protection mode. And if someone's spitting at me and my child, mate, what am I not going to retaliate? Is that how it is? Like Tom Rockcliffe's not allowed to retaliate in that situation. And then if he does, it's Tom Rockcliffe assaulted a fan.
Exactly.
It's crazy. It's just anyway.
Yeah, it's a thing. If Tom Rockcliffe was like not having this and started a punch on, it's his fault. The media perception of it will be completely different to what it is now.
Yeah.
Which is, again, like we said before, it shows the current state of the media. But obviously, we hope that this is the first and last time it ever happens again.
Yeah.
Because, and I've seen people on Twitter and Facebook and stuff compare it to like soccer, like football fans in like Europe, like the ultras and stuff. But that is so different. Like if you go to, I don't know, Italy, right? They don't assault people who are with their kid. It's planned, right? Like it's, where you're getting yourself into. And Tom himself said that he was lippy at the footy, right? Which we all are. And it's human nature, especially when you're at the footy, to be a little bit lippy, to mouth off, but in a way which is in between the siren. Yeah.
And it's like me asking the Richmond fans in round one, where you going?
Yeah.
Where you going?
Yeah. Like you do it, and then when the game's over, you leave it.
Of course.
But for someone to take it to that level, shouldn't be attending football. Shouldn't be attending sport. Full stop.
Yeah.
I think that's a good note to end it on. Or sorry, we've still got the rest moment of the round.
Yep.
Now, for those who don't know, this basically where we nominate a moment from this round, which all the viewers will vote for the moments of the year at the end of the season. And this week, it wasn't exactly a moment, but it was a pretty. Well, I smiled when I was watching this game, but it was Matt Taberner kicking 7 straight against the Dons. Only Essendon could let Matt Taberner kill him, couldn't they?
Don't talk too soon.
Oh, yeah, we got him next week, don't we?
Don't talk too soon. He is a good player.
The Wiedering, but no,
Wiedering, I would assume Wiedering won't let him kick 7, but yes, I do like this. I saw the run sheet and I did like this one from you. Very, very well done.
Yeah, and Jacob Wiedering keeps Matt Taberner to 3 marks and no scores on the weekend. Hold me to it.
Well, you're the one that likes to send out fucking video clips of other people when they get things wrong, but you don't seem to send them when they get things right. I don't know, Ari. I just want to play you a little something here, mate. Just have a look at this. I'm going to go with Carlton by 3 points in a thriller, and King Charlie just regains his throne at the MCG. Kicks 5.
All right. That
didn't quite get the message this week, mate. It was missing in my inbox. I don't know where it was.
Well, there you go. If Matt Taberner kicks 8 and then we lose by 10 goals, you can send that to me. There you go.
All right.
But you've put it all over the internet now. I think more people have seen that clip than anything else. So,
yeah.
I mean, you praise yourself when you get it right, but you're the one who did change their tip, didn't you?
I did. Like the turncoat that I am. Check out the tips video. You'll see me disgracing my tipping. I'm an absolute joke of a tipper. So I feel like the tipping series on the channel is now just like it's a humbling experience just to, show everyone how poor I am at tipping and just to take the piss out of myself a bit. So it's good.
There you go. You can just replay that clip that you just showed over and over again. Just instead of posting the tipping video, just post that.
I'm done. I'm done. I'll never get anything like that right again. Forever.
Do you want to make a prediction of the Fremantle game right now?
I'll leave it for the preview. Everyone tune in.
There you go. You're a salesman. I think we're done, unless you have any scoreboard talk you want to speak about the lights. Or
nothing on the agenda right now. I will come back to you next week with something. If something catches my eye.
With the lights on Friday afternoon, all good.
I thought so. I think they've figured it out now. Their percentage of how bright they've got it. So. We're set for the rest of eternity now.
There you go. How was the halftime show, by the way? I was meaning to ask you with the goal kicking challenge.
I wasn't watching it. I went I was with the group that I was with. They all went for a ciggy break / vape break. So I was just chilling outside.
There you go. All right. Yeah. I think were the lights outside all good or no lights outside?
You still going with this, eh?
No. Well, you're the one who rang it up the first time. So.
All right, great.
All right, I think we're done. Thank you very much for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Go the Blues.
Go Blues.